Good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock and I want to call this meeting of Applefest Advisory Committee to order. First, we have the approval of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Jackie and Bruce. All in favor? Sorry, that's carried. And then next is a report from staff regarding protocols and restrictions during a possible outdoor event. Who wants to head that up? Perfect.
So we did some research on the step 3 roadmap to reopen from the Ontario provincial government. It says in the criteria for outdoor social gatherings and organized public events with up to 100 people with limited exceptions. This is primarily for public lands, municipal lands, provincial lands. We talked about last week about concert venues and cinemas and theaters permitted to operate at up to 50% capacity indoors or a maximum limit of 1,000 people for seated events, up to 75% capacity outdoors or a maximum limit of 5,000 people for unseated events or standing. This is on private property only. So this cannot be taking place on any public property, roads, that sort of thing. So it's got to be on private property. So with that in mind, if we're looking at the Memorial Park and also Veterans Way, it'd be 100 total in that area. But at that total, it has to be fully masked, fully distanced, and then fully sanitized and fully monitored to make sure we don't exceed the 100 personnel limit. At that point, the municipality is liable for anything that goes on in that park or in the public spaces.
Question for you. Well, when you say 100, would it be 100 on Veterans Way if it was partitioned and 100 in the park, or are you saying 100 in that whole area?
100 in that whole area, maximum. And the sidewalks have to be open at all times. We can't close down the sidewalks. They have to remain open. The street can be closed down. The sidewalks need to be remaining open. So we have to account for people walking by if we can try to segregate that somehow.
Okay.
Jim, sorry.
Yeah, so they'll have to be barricaded and taped like we did for Remembrance Day and for the graduation if you're using the park.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, it poses a bit of a challenge that no matter what we do in that area, 100 people, we're going to have a system where we have this inflow of people in and out, right? Okay, thank you. Let's move on to our delegations just to see what the other groups that are here have to say. Knowing that we're working in with a very small limit if we even do something in that area. First, we have the Brighton and District Curling Club. Who's here to speak on that? Well, yeah, and we.
Well, I heard from one of the board members, Jody, that they will have their ice in then, and they are, quite happy to do whatever, we want them to do, so to speak, as far as learn to curl time or something like that.
So we can certainly have these other events happening in other venues following obviously their own rules, right? And we can kind of put still together some sort of program in these separate places.
Yeah,
Possible, right?
I had sent an email to the president or the chair of their board. I think Jessica and I were both copied on that email and I did hear that she was sending an email out to their board members to see if they could do anything, but I don't think anything has come out of that yet.
Okay, so there's a possibility there. And how about the Legion?
All right, I'm basically here to see what ideas you folks were coming up with so that we could plan around. And we have something on the 25th, I believe, we start Legion Week on the 18th. On the 18th, which we're going to have a barbecue outside,
Okay,
and which is also on Saturdays is our meat draw. So our barbecue will be from 11:30 to 2, and then people usually move inside for the meat draw, and that's till 6, or if people are hanging around a little longer. So on the 25th, our Ways and Means have decided we're going to do everything in our parking area, because we have also cadets to look after, and they will be providing their own little booth and that type of thing. But this is where we're heading for the 25th. And now that we know that it's only the one day, then I'll be able to take it back to them, and we'll be able to firm up some better ideas. But on the 25th, she was thinking of doing maybe a chili lunch with some music, and obviously outside again too.
okay.
So that's what we're sort of looking at right now.
How about the DBIA? We have someone here.
Ashley, can you hear us?
Hi there. I was just had on mute there. The DBIA, that we're more than willing to participate any way we can. We're kind of, just waiting to hear from you guys and on how we can help with any planning or what we can do to contribute.
Okay, thank you. If you're able to stay for the rest of the meeting, kind of hear out what we decide and where we're going to go with that, and I'm sure we can figure something out.
Okay.
So next we have Phil Pike from the Community Events Committee. He's not quite in yet. We'll wait a couple seconds. Phil, are you ready to speak on behalf of the Community Events Committee?
Yep, I'm here. I don't know what I'm.
Well, I guess what we're doing right now is we're getting an idea if any of the other committees are willing or thinking of doing anything, or maybe they can collaborate with us. Because we're thinking if we do anything on that day, we were just talking earlier before you were here that we're looking at, very small limits because we're doing things on municipal property. We may need help even with volunteers as far as putting a little something on that day. So I'm not sure if you have anything to share, or maybe if you're able to just stay for the meeting, we can see whether or not we can work together on this.
Yeah, sure. I'll stay put here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
At this point, we're just going to put it out to our committee members, keeping in mind, other than the 2 councillors, we've really only got 4 members now. So it's there won't take a lot to canvass people.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Okay, so if we move on to the next item, we have business, and we just we're touching on some of the things we discussed last time. And I think maybe I should ask the question as far as whether this committee thinks we can pull something off, knowing that we can only have 100 people. If we have a pancake breakfast on Veterans Way and music in the park, do you think we can make that work with only 100 people? Do we have some ideas before we kind of go on and start planning anything else? I'd like to hear from the committee a little bit as far as, even staff as well, whether or not we can create some sort of flow that we're moving people through rather than having them stay.
Well, I mean, I was thinking, of Canada Day, and normally you start off with the pancake and sausage breakfast.
Yeah.
And that happens before the opening ceremonies.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
So that it goes from 8 to 11, and then the opening ceremonies are after that, 11:30. So, you may be able to do that. And then by the time the breakfast is done, clear that area out.
Mm-hmm. And then we start on
and you'll
music
start
after
on
that.
Music with your 100.
Yeah. And then as volunteers, we'd be all on board to try to help with the flow and making sure that, that we're counting people and making sure we're the flow. And we may need your help and your department's help a little bit. You know, Applefest is usually at all hands on deck sort of day as far as maybe helping with a little bit with the flow of people as well, just to, you know, so we're not having to yell at everybody. Maybe you guys can help us with that. Would that be?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
okay.
want to be totally supportive.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Emily.
Laura, I've not been involved with the car show over the years, but I think you had a plan that way too. I mean, it was a bigger space, right? But as far as getting people in and kind of working out, you know, the same thing with the clickers and maybe at one end. And I think Sherry was involved with
Well,
that
we used
too.
tickets to know how many people were there, but we didn't really count the people coming to look though with in and out.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, you didn't have to do that.
We counted the number of people displaying their cars more so, but
I just was wondering if you had a system for that too, like in and out, but obviously you didn't have to do that then.
no.
As far as people coming in for the car show and all that, they came in through all directions where there's openings in the gates.
Yeah.
So the only thing that we ever did was we needed to know the cars that were there, and it was pretty much, well, it's always been a free for all. Everybody goes wherever they want to go, and we've
Yeah, and that's the thing. Applefest has always been a free for all. Everyone can go everywhere whenever. And this year we have to do something totally different. So, yeah. Okay.
So when you're looking at maximum number of people, you also have to consider the people who are working pancake breakfast, all the people who are doing the cooking and.
My understanding
and-
that doesn't count actually.
it
Have
doesn't-
you?
No,
I've been
the
told
people-
by groups that.
You are correct to a point.
And what about
So
the
what? To what
musicians?
point? How many can we have as far as working?
There's a debate between 10 to 25%. So it could be up to
Okay.
25 people. Again, it depends on who you talk to. When we talk to the government folks, they're more leaning to the 25. With the health folks, they're leaning more towards the 10. So
So that same applies to the musicians in the park.
correct.
Right. So even 10%, which is 10 people, you know what I mean? We might be okay with that and still be able to have our 100, right?
And what about the people who are driving the cars into the car show?
Well, we're not going to do a car show.
Oh, no.
No, we're just referencing that. There's no way we could do that with the, and still have the distancing. Did you want to comment? You were talking about you.
Oh, I was just saying the same thing that Jim was saying, because when we at the Legion, when we
Yep.
have our dues, the people who are workers,
Mhm.
like your bartender and the people who are managing the door
Yep.
or the cleaners, they are not counted into the
Okay,
overall.
so you've experienced that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that gives a little bit of a,
And also Legion is a little bit different because it's private property versus public
Yep.
property.
but if we try to stick to the 10%, I think then we're safe, right? Okay. Do we want to? Yeah,
Gonna
go
move
ahead.
on to music. So I can make it work from any way with the music. Now, I was wondering about if musicians count as part of that. Okay, like for the last number of years, Applefest has been a major concert for the Brighton Concert Band. Well, obviously that's not going to work with 50 people in that band.
Hmm.
So that they're out. And then there's an offshoot band from the concert band, which is the swing band, and that's about 15 people, or 15 to 20. And then there's an offshoot of the offshoot, which is the Motown band, which is about 10 people. So would that be too many? Would that muck up the numbers too much if that takes up 10 of your worker numbers?
I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would think that if we're shooting for around 10 people, you know, max in the musicians, that we're probably okay with our numbers.
Okay, I should admit, we kind of skipped over the, where is it, number 3 there, the conflict of interest stuff, and I must
Oh,
say
we
that
did,
I
yeah.
play in that band.
Sorry. Never mind, I don't-
So, but Terry Daniels runs the band. It's one of Terry's groups. So I got him on hold. He knows, I said after this meeting, I'll have a better idea. In terms of other groups, again, there's one other group, just a 3-person group I play, and the other 2 guys are both from Brighton. I didn't know how many hours we were looking at, so I haven't really talked to musicians. So I've just talked to the two groups that I'm in, to those people. But there are a couple other local groups, the R&R group that always plays at Applefest, there are two local guys. And the other one I could think of at the top of my head was Stephanie Bird, it's solo act. She's Brightonian. But it depends how many hours of music we want to fill. I've already contacted Rick Vermeyen, who's the sound guy from the high school, and he's willing. And by the way, I've told all these musicians that I have talked to, sound people, no, going in, I don't know if there's any money, little to none probably. So they all said, fine, whatever, we'll do it for nothing. If you got a bit of money, great. If you don't, we just like to help out and do it. So be nice to at least offer the sound person some money. But so anyways, I was saying, I have musicians available that are local. Now the 10-piece Motown group, no, some of those people will maybe from I can't think of the whole group. Some are from Trenton, maybe from Belleville even, but mostly Brighton.
So to answer your first question, if we do pancake breakfast, only pancake breakfast from 8 to 11, because like what Jim said, having food and an event going on is too much in order to meet the 100. So if we have pancake breakfast from 8 to 11, and then we can have music from like 11:30 till, what do you think? Like 4:30 or something like that?
Yeah, I found even at Applefest, really by after 3:30, people aren't really wanting to be
So
hanging
if we
around.
do 11:30 till 3:30 music?
Something like that, 4 hours. Now, would you want any just simple background music, or maybe we can just play recording, like somebody like Stephanie Bird at the Pancake Breakfast, just a solo artist? So people aren't maybe just going to show up just to watch the music, just to have some music going.
I think it's good to have the music going. The only thing is if people do show up to watch her and then they're counting on being able to have 100 at the breakfast, we don't know if that will work or not. We don't want to mess with their breakfast numbers.
Okay.
So I think we have to keep things very, regulated as far as how we plan it.
Okay, maybe we could just have music playing then.
Yeah.
Have the sound guy play music.
So we just had, music playing during the breakfast. So breakfast 8 to 11, 11:30 to 3:30, we would have music. Does that kind of work with everyone so far?
And that's when like a barbecue is going on, and is there a barbecue now?
Well, we haven't talked about the barbecue yet. We have to see whether we can, where we can fit that in, whether we can or not. And also you were talking about money. We do have a budget of about 5,000 for Applefest, regardless.
Oh, okay.
So we should be able to pay, nominal fee to everyone, or, to cover their costs and everything, like whatever. I think usually you're paying $200, $300, $400?
No, well,
depends on the.
I think for the music in the park last year, the group's about $3,000 and the parade was another 2,000. Obviously, we don't have the parade. But, nobody's expecting to get that kind of, I was paying each group like $600 to $800, but maybe $200 per group.
Well, like I said, we do have the budget. Maybe if you can compile your list and kind of what you think needs to be paid, and then next time we have a meeting, we'll get it approved and figure it out for sure. Does that work?
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah.
We know they have to cover their costs for being there.
Yeah, no, especially the sound guy, because that's a lot of work for him to get the equipment there. And, and he's there for the full day.
Okay.
Okay, that's great. I didn't realize
there is some money there. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that would be that. Owen, do you think that works for you guys, even if you just do a breakfast? I'm not sure if we can fit in a barbecue. Is it the kin come the breakfast and you guys the barbecue? Was that the original plan?
The original plan was pancake breakfast.
Sorry, Owen, can I get you to use your mic?
Owen, can I get you to use your mic? Yeah, okay.
Original plan was the pancake breakfast starting maybe at 9 o'clock to 11. And then we would follow with over the lunch hour, 11 till maybe 2 with the barbecue. And I just got nicely sitting down here, so I didn't catch all that was said about this, the municipal property and the regulations that were there. I would appreciate if I could see in writing what was stated here verbally, so I have things right.
Yeah.
And but that I'm not sure how we're going to be able fit this in from the way the conversation is going now. I'm not sure what we're going to have to do.
What are you concerned about? And we
Well,
can see if we
the
can,
fact that if the pancake breakfast is, thank you. Is at one point in time, and then sometime later with the break is the barbecue.
Mhm.
That was not in our thinking at all.
Yeah, the only problem we're running into, right, is that we want to have some music in the park and we can't do both those events beside each other. That's the issue that we're running into. Because of the restrictions. So I guess we're just wondering if you're able to kind of work with us as we try to put something together, working within those restrictions so that you guys can still have some sort of event. We can still have some music, kind of a combination of things going on that day.
So I'm not sure. Al and I had a meeting last night.
Mhm.
He has contacted the health unit
Yep.
for their regulations, and they're going to email him. So we have a written record of what they want
Perfect.
on that. I just don't know at this point in time how we will proceed as the two service organizations. If it's going to be split up like that, I'm not sure that that's going to work for us.
Okay.
Pancake breakfast, there's no problem that.
Yeah. It's the other part, right, that makes it difficult. to
Yeah,
split up.
we were doing this as a
Mhm.
service group, Lions and Kinsmen, and I'm really not sure this business of 100 and the park and Veterans Way, because when I was up there at the graduation, I think there were well over 100 people in that area when that graduation was going on. I don't know that maybe they didn't know anything about this. I don't know.
Sure. Did you want to?
Well, I kind of have a suggestion, maybe. The
Yeah.
community center is open that day.
Okay.
Okay, I don't have any rentals either in the arena because I keep it usually open because it's Applefest. What if we did the breakfast and the barbecue both over at the community center? That way you can do your 100
Mm-hmm.
and 100, and then in one site, and then you got the concert over there.
What do you think of that, Owen? Doing well, if you did the breakfast and the barbecue all at the community center, and then you can do both, and then you can still have your 100 limit, and then we can still have 100 there for the concert. And by splitting them up, we can both do what we need to do. Would that work for you guys, you think?
I'm not sure what that would mean in terms of getting people there.
Yeah,
Applefest is an uptown thing.
It-
I have a question here. I don't know if anybody can answer it or not. The area behind CIBC parking area, who does that belong to?
There's a portion of it that is owned by the municipality. It's municipal parking lot, correct?
It's
Is-
municipal property.
There's a portion of it, yep.
If we went over there,
Are they,
would that be counted in the 100 with Veterans Way and Park?
that's what I was thinking exactly. If they could do the barbecue somewhere near the park,
Mhm.
so people could get food and then enter the park with their food.
Are they
and the-
far enough away?
Maybe that doesn't work so well for pancakes because, I don't know. Pancakes aren't as portable as a burger, but
Well, we kind of want them to sit in that area too. if
that's what I always
possible.
imagine. People would be sitting either having pancakes or barbecue or sitting in the park,
Mhm.
having food or not having food. But I know the numbers might not work to do it that way, but could he do the barbecue within walking distance of the park, a short walk? So
So-
people could get their food and come in. Because I know it's a big fundraiser for the Lions.
I know, that's why we want to try
Yeah,
to
we
make it
wanna
work if
try
we
it.
can, right?
And if it's
Um,
somewhere else, it might not.
Jim, did you want?
Well, CIBC, they own that parking lot part, right? It's private, so they control what they want to do. So if you could get a letter from them advising that we can use their parking lot. That's a separate 100. Because that's not our property.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know if Sobeys, because they sell food, but so even if Sobeys is willing to have that one end of their parking lot, let the Lions set up their barbecue there.
Yeah, correct. It's private property, so it'd be a separate
Right.
incident or a separate.
How about the
event.
lawn bowling? I don't know, is there any room there? Is that a private?
Well, I think the idea of the CIBC parking lot is probably the best idea. So if we're able to secure that for you guys, that would work. And then you could have, you're still close, and then you can still have your full event.
If the pancake breakfast and the barbecue aren't on Veterans Way, is there a reason to close Veterans Way?
Probably not necessarily.
Oh, they would.
We could close it just for the flow of people.
Well, they would be closed because you'd be doing the breakfast like you were first thought about, and you'd be doing the barbecue.
I don't know that they want to move everything. Okay. So we still consider closing it so that there's room for people to walk back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd probably have to move the tables and chairs over from Veterans Way over to the CIBC property. It's only a matter of 30 feet.
You have to talk with your microphones on if you're going to speak so that everyone can hear it. Owen, do you think that would work for you as far as having maybe that different spot? Is that?
Well, I'm going to have to discuss it with Al and our club members on this. The municipality owns the parking area north of CIBC.
We own one section, yes, so the
That
CIBC
section.
owns right behind, and then we own the section that's further over, correct?
And
north.
Sobeys owns the
Yeah.
parking lot in front of their store.
Yes,
Yeah, that's the way it is. Okay. So if we wanted to move across the street, there is the possibility of CIBC or the possibility of the municipal lot being closed down, at least partially. We wouldn't need the whole thing for our barbecue and pancake breakfast, but
mhm.
there is that possibility.
There's also the post office parking lot if we talk to the post office folks.
Yeah.
That's private as well. Well, sort of kind of private.
Yeah, okay.
So we're thinking if they do get a spot behind the bank or post office, would they have tables there for people to eat at?
Yeah.
Is that the idea? And so that's a separate 100.
Yes, that's the idea.
And
that
I
it's a
guess
separate 100.
they could bring their food into the park,
They may not.
May.
People may just come to listen to music as well.
or they may just come for pancakes. And
Mhm.
well, if we can get two groups of 100 by doing it that way, if the bank or the post office or Sobeys allows, then that helps a lot. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's the best plan. Okay, so we've already talked about the downtown businesses. They're willing to kind of throw in, obviously, anything that we have going on that day will, I'm hoping will draw some people into the businesses as well. And then we talked about last meeting, we talked about whether there's any ideas on some non-gathering events that can be promoted, right? That, and we talked about, handing out the Heritage Walk pamphlets. We also talked about that there are other events going on in other parts of town, which we can kind of put together. I think though that we should also talk, and Ben had mentioned this earlier to me about how we promote this. Do we want to promote this? How do we promote it? There's concern about drawing too many people out if we promote it too much. So Ben, did you want to kind of give your thoughts on that? That would be helpful.
Yeah. I guess the way I look at it is, I think it's the safest and most, I guess, feasible way to look at it is to not promote it at all. The word of mouth effect will kind of take over. and it will draw the 100 people or the 100 plus people if you divide it into the two groups, or sort of organically in my mind. There's enough going on downtown day to day, Saturday to Saturday. There's enough people that are going to hear about this through the service clubs, through the DBIA, that I don't think any promotion is necessary at all. Once the municipality puts it online, we will reach upwards of 10 to 20,000 people. I will tell you that right now. And maybe all 10 to 20,000 people do not come, but over 1,000 will, for sure. So that's what we do not want. So I would say no promotion, no advertising, no marketing, plan it and go from there.
Thank you. I see the mayor's joined us as well. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this event, and if you have any ideas for us, that would be good too.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Appreciate that. First, before I say anything, I'm going to preface it with whatever the Applefest committee decides, you will have my 100% support. And just tell me where to show up and when, or even if you want me there. I'll show up to something if you don't want me there, but I'll show up to something. Just FYI, Sunny Days is planning a barbecue for that day as well. So I don't know if there's any other groups planning anything, but I did get an invite to their barbecue that Saturday over in their parking lot. Whatever we do, my concern will be that we do it with an abundance of caution, and that's not just because we're in the same predicament everyone else is, but because in East Northumberland, we have a significantly lower vaccination rate than the province. So the province is around the 75% level, but in our area of Northumberland County, we're sitting around the 63% level, and that's people over the age of 12 double dose. So a bit concerning, and really the reason we're starting to push for vaccination clinics locally. So, I really appreciate that the group is trying to follow the bouncing ball of what you can and can't do, as we've all been trying to do over the last 18 months. You're doing a great job. I know you don't want to cancel it for Applefest for a second year, so coming up with something, anything is appreciated, and I know the community will appreciate it. The deputy mayor and I were on the phone today, and I guess I'd echo your words, Laura, when you said, if we promote it, we'll get too many people. If we don't promote it, people will be angry that they didn't hear about it. But that's just the way it goes. We can't have more than 100 people in that memorial park. Mr. Gibb mentioned that he thought there were around 100 people for those two graduation ceremonies. My count for the bigger one was around 80, with another dozen people on stage. So we were certainly pushing the limits of what we were permitted that day. But if you looked at that park, it certainly didn't look like it was anywhere near full. So we do have to be careful that if we're gathering 100 people for the pancake breakfast across the road on a private corporate parking lot, and then another 100 people show up for music in the park, which I'm supportive of, hope we do. We have to have some sort of security to make sure that if we get to that 100 limit in the park, it doesn't go beyond that. And we can't control what people do on the sidewalks. That's, I think, a different story. But certainly, we'll have to have some sort of control getting into the park, and some sort of number indicator to know when people leave, so that new people can enter if they want. That adds a bit of a different element to the whole venue issue. So I'm not sure that's been thought of, but I think it's an important thing to do, because to Ben's point, we'll get to 100 people real fast, just through word of mouth.
Okay, thank you.
If I'm suggesting no publicity at all, I live in Brighton by the Bay, and we have an email distribution system down there where probably 70% of the 300 homes are on that system. So is it advisable not to send anything out?
And I think that's where we're at with this. If if we have such small limits, the idea is to do something, but really to not be putting it out there, because once we start putting it out in a few places, people are going to take that and they're going to put it other places and other places. And before you know it, we're going to be spending more time telling people they have to go home than just letting people come and go organically as they are. So when we say that, though, we're going to have an event and we're not allowed to promote it. Why are we doing it? And we need to make sure that we're on board to do this. Do you know what I'm saying? If we're going to do this, but don't tell anybody we're doing this, do we want to do it? Is it worth it to do it? And that's what I really need my committee members to chime in, and then we all just need to be on board with whatever we decide. Go ahead.
I think we can do it. I mean, in my years being with the committees, for the amount of time that we put out for promoting things, you always get people say they never seen it, they never heard it or anything like that. So we kind of just, it doesn't matter what we do. You're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. So it's just, we pretty much will have to narrow down where we're going to put it out and leave it at that. If we are going to get word of mouth, definitely you're going to hear about it regardless.
We're not calling it Applefest, though.
We're not calling it Applefest.
No.
We're just going to call it Celebrate Brighton or whatever. We may not call it anything. If we're not promoting, we're just going to have a bunch of events happening on a day that normally is Applefest, and we're not going to tell anybody about it, but hope that a few people come.
Yeah, I mean, I personally want it to happen. I understand what you're saying, Laura. Like, what's the sense to an event where you're not supposed to tell anybody? It's like a secret event. But if you got the password to get in, maybe we need a password. Yeah. But I'd like to see it happen. But I understand if we think it's just not worth it. But 100 people isn't a lot. But I guess if there's 100 in the park and there's 20, 30 over hopefully behind the bank getting a burger, there's more people. You're hearing the music and it's people getting together, and I hope it can happen. That's how I feel.
I think too, and we'll continue around, but just on that note, I think too, like, especially in the park, we need someone who has control of the microphone to be able to say, if you've been here for a little while, it's time to move on so the next group can come. And because otherwise we have to shut down if we get too many people.
Yeah, I would do. I was already thinking that
Yeah.
I'll be there all day if it happens. And I would be saying to people, if you've been here a while, especially to see people waiting. I don't know where the be a place they line up on the sidewalk. I don't know exactly how it would work. I mean, people can stand on the sidewalk and listen too. They don't count as part of the 100.
That's right. No.
So,
okay, thank you. Jackie, did you want to add anything?
I've been trolling through the legislation and the City of Toronto outdoor events, trying to find some guidance. I did go down to the county on the weekend and notice they're still having their studio tour, but of course that is a gathering of people that just come and go into different people's homes or studios. It seems a bit nebulous, as if there isn't really a hard and fast rule. If it's not Applefest and it's just any Saturday in September, it wouldn't matter how many people were on the street, really, listening to the music or whatever's going on. I think it's just in those restricted areas, for example, where you're serving the food or you're actually having an event, that's the issue. As far as the pancake breakfast goes, could the club not sell tickets in advance with a timestamp on so that you get your breakfast at 9 or you get your breakfast at 10? That would allow them to have a rolling amount of people coming in. I don't know if they're going to make a profit with just 100 people. And would they have the staff to look at that? Or would we be on the gate, doing the numbers?
They normally don't have 100 people in there anyways, when all the years they do at the community center. We're usually set up for 50 or 60.
So
That's
the
number 4.
100 at a time probably isn't an issue, that they're probably going to flow through anyways. I mean, it's up to the club how they do it, for that matter, right? But you know, people may flow organically through that anyway.
Al Simpson stated last week, when this question came up, that for the real Applefest, when we have thousands around, they never have any more than around 75 people in the pancake breakfast at any one time. It should not be an issue. Now, the other thing I'd like to know now, are we going to be required to put fencing up around and all of this other stuff?
Just to, I would say not fencing per se, but maybe fire line tape or whatever it may be, caution tape, just to keep the area demarcated. Because if you're asking for private property to be on, you want to be able to mark that, and then people would be that gated into that rather than onto other property. A good example is, because I'm a bylaw officer as well, I have to make sure the counts are correct for the municipality. I would think so. Yep. Definitely.
Along with what Jackie was saying, if an event isn't advertised and doesn't have a name, is it an event? I'm not trying to be funny here.
No,
like,
I know what you mean.
if I don't say anything into the microphone, I just all of a sudden there's entertainment in the park that day.
It's a public.
You need to
gathering.
count people coming in, as long as people are social distancing.
Still a public gathering.
Is it an event? Like, for instance, tomorrow night, the Brighton concert band they've had one rehearsal in the park so far, and tomorrow night Terry's playing another rehearsal I'm part of. And we're just going to play through songs for 2 hours, and if people happen to stop by and listen, great. It's kind of very, very informal concert. I don't think he's going to say anything. But that's a non-event, but it's sort of an event. So
Well,
that's probably pushing it a little bit.
because we're a committee of council and we're sitting here, and this is on YouTube, and we're planning something, it is an event, but we're just trying to keep it low key. I know exactly what you're saying, and it's gone through my head, but the reality is that this is what we're doing. So we're going to follow the rules. We're going to make sure that we've got it all set up.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
I was just
I
wondering.
know what you're
It's
saying.
okay.
Yeah. Tom, did you have anything to add?
I'm just concerned that there may be a bit of a backlash if we don't publicize this.
Mhm,
And
I know.
everybody hears about it later after the fact and complains that nobody told me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
On another issue, you talked about the Heritage Walk maybe being an event, and I've done that myself with another 2 couples. Not to get into the weeds too much, but we may consider having a guide for each appropriately sized group, go along and read out in front of each house, or have someone stationed at the house for when a group shows up, because it is very difficult to talk over people, et cetera, to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, I think for this particular event, I think the idea was it was going to be to let people know that these guides were available, so they would kind of do their own self-guided tour, so as not to encourage any kind of gathering. But if we're not really going to be promoting this event too much, there's not a place, to list all these different things that people can do on that day. So I'm not sure if it's even going to work to have that guided tour. I think it's just like, let all the service clubs and groups know, today, that's the day to plan your event, and hopefully we're going to have people around for it. And just in doing that, and somehow commemorating that this is actually Applefest weekend, and hopefully next year we're going to have something going on. I think that's what this is about. Emily, did you want to add anything to that at this point?
No, I think there's been a lot of chatter, but I'm along the same line. I'd like to see us do something. Pop-ups are happening everywhere around us. Coburg, Trenton, Belleville, they're doing the same thing. For the same reasons, I think if we drop it completely, we're gonna hear about it next year. We're gonna feel it next year. I think you're right. We don't need to Google Brighton Applefest going to be canceled. But as you say, if we're just celebrating what happens in our community, I think it's a good thing. To Owen's point and to Alan's point, many years, Jim, you said the same thing. As far as ever being at the Main Street pancake breakfast or the barbecue, I've never had a problem finding a chair to sit down. It's never, it's not that overcrowded with 100 people to sit there. So I think if we can kind of encourage the CIBC to kind of support the community this year, if only by giving us an empty parking lot, I don't know why we just can't do it.
Okay. Did you have anything else to add? Well, yeah, go ahead.
If there was something that, and you're not going to promote it or whatever, the library would like to help out as well. If it's having a place to drop off or pick up pamphlets, they're into that. I know it's not here, but Heather's on vacation, so I was just going to fill that in. If there's anything that they can do to help, they're there too.
Well, we have, the Heritage Committee has a whole bunch of pamphlets. We could have them at the library either way, so that people can, when they're at the library, they can pick them up, because we do have, we're revamping it, but we have a whole bunch of old ones. Be good to get them out before we produce the new ones. That's a totally different topic, but okay. Okay, so I think the general idea is that we're going to have some. Did you have
Yeah,
something?
I was just thinking, if you do any small advertising,
Yeah.
perhaps you could just remind people that there'll be limited numbers
Yeah.
in these places, that you're going to have the breakfast or the barbecue, that type of thing, to give them, notice, heads up. And of course, the Legion will be active that afternoon. So
Mhm.
you'll have another 100 there.
Yep.
So
And I think that's important, that if anything is said about it. And so one idea is that we do absolutely no promotion whatsoever, which I understand. We could have something very simple done, but then we can reiterate that, it's 100, right? And that's, but if you don't promote at all, you don't have the opportunity to tell people that either, or remind people of that.
well, I think people should be forewarned so that they know that what you're limiting is numbers, because otherwise they'll come and they'll be upset. We didn't know that, blah, blah, you know
Yeah.
how people are.
Could you call it a pop-up event?
That's what I was thinking. I like the idea that it's celebrate Brighton pop-up events. And then what's happening in the park and the breakfast or barbecue are just two of many things. The Legion, the library, heritage walks, maybe Cheers will be doing something. So the whole list of things, and say numbers limited. So it's not heavy advertising. It's not trying to get people to come to one thing, but celebrate Brighton pop-up events, something like that. Word Applefest never comes near it.
Yeah.
I think you need to do a little bit of letting people know what's happening. If there's 5 or 6 things, then it's individual things popping up in town.
So if we're going to do just a small amount of advertising on this, and like you said, just listing, like celebrate Brighton pop-up events, list some things that people are going to be dispersed to, not all coming to one place, and that numbers are limited. Where would we promote that? How's the best way to maybe Ben, you can chime in as far as if we want to just put something out very simple locally, what's the best way for us to do that?
We can, and I'm not saying this facetiously by any means, but we could do something like the Friday before. So we could do make up a graphic, do socials. I could do like a media release. So maybe some of the radio stations hear about it, pick it up, and literally we just do it the day before.
The day before.
Yeah.
Actually, there's some merit to that people don't have time to, bring in a whole bunch of people. It's just the day
Mhm.
before. Oh, hey, something's happening in Brighton tomorrow. What do we think of that? Yeah,
I think it's a good idea. The other thing, the Legion has their members, the Lions Club, the Kin Club. Their members have to know because they're helping out. So
obviously those groups are going to let their members know.
that's right. So there's going to be some kind of secondhand promotion anyway, right? Just through indirectly dealing with the people that you're working with that day. So it'll be out on the street. We just don't need to give big details as to who's doing what, and we don't need to throw the posters up. But I like Ben's idea. Don't give them too much notice. Give a little bit so that people do, even just people in town. can stop by.
Okay, so celebrate Brighton pop-up events. Everyone's good with that. A very small amount of promotion the day before, just listing some of the events, what we're planning and maybe what some other community community organizations are planning. Everyone okay with that? We'll make sure that goes in the minutes. And so we've offered these for the pancake breakfast barbecue. They've asked for Veterans Way. We've said, you know, it'd be better to have it somewhere else. Who's going to ask the CIBC for that land? Is the municipality going to ask for that? Does anyone have contacts there that we can ask to borrow that parking lot?
Are they a member of the DBIA?
Okay, so can you turn on your microphone and say that you'll take care of
I
that?
will, I will speak to one or two people at the CIBC bank.
Okay, so you'll let us know? Pardon? Yes, we'll find a spot in town. Okay. Anything else we need to discuss tonight? I think the next thing would be what we're all going to do to help. And we obviously know what you're doing, but we all need to kind of discuss what we're going to do to help make this happen, what we need to do to make this happen. I think most of it will be showing up on that day and making sure staff knows what we need from them as far as, you know, any kind of petitioning or equipment or tables or whatever we might need for that day, right? Go ahead, Jim.
It all gets done the day before. Usually if Public Works has to bring the pylons and the ribbon, and we have the tables and chairs, we usually bring them on the Friday.
Okay. Okay, we're all on board for this. Anyone who's zooming in want to say anything? Sorry, I can't always tell when you do. Is there anyone up there that wants to add anything to this? Yeah, go ahead. Is it Ashley?
Hi.
Can't remember.
I just wanted to clarify, the storefronts on Main Street, are they able to set out tables? Understanding that the sidewalks do need to be clear?
I believe so. Is there? I'm pretty sure they can. Is there a permission that we have to get for that, for this day?
I think similar to what we did last year, right? Basically, they left parking spaces open. We blocked a couple of extra ones off for handicapped people on the main street. But other than that, you know, some of the shops just put like we'll call it a mini sidewalk sale, a few things on the main street. And I don't think it caused any interference with anything.
So that would probably be that's a yes then, that yeah, they can put out a table or something on that day and just to help promote what they're selling as well. Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Owen.
Al Simpson has been doing a little lay work on this, and he's come up with a couple of possibilities. Talking about Sunday in the Arena Community Hall. The lady that owns the pottery store is ready to have whatever they call it, where you come in and do some pottery stuff.
Yep.
She's ready to do that. And a lady who is in the painting field is ready to do the same thing. And they've offered to do this for the Lions and the Kinsmen. And there will be a fee. The one lady suggested $40, and she would take $30, and the $10 would go to the clubs.
Would this be done at the same time on the same weekend, or did you mention
Same weekend, Sunday though,
Oh, okay. So
and in the community hall.
okay. Well, that's good. So when you have the details for sure on that, I have Alan or whatever, make sure that he gets
So-
to us so we can add it to our list of things.
Nothing has been finalized,
Yep.
but this is, has been a suggestion, I guess, in talking to these people, they said, well, we'll do this for the Lions and Kinsmen.
Okay. Sounds good. Anyone have anything else to add? Obviously, we're going to meet again and kind of figure out all the things we need to do on that day, what we need to do to prep for that day.
Just one thing. I know Phil Pike is still with us. I believe that community events is meeting next week, Phil. And maybe we can discuss it to see if we can bring what little manpower we have left with our committee that we can bring to kind of help out that day, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need people on the street that day, just kind of making sure that everything kind of stays within the limits and that no one's overwhelmed doing that we all kind of work as a team to do that. So any help that the committee can provide, that would be really great. So, and perhaps if anyone is planning to help with the committee, that they also, from the events committee, that they attend our next meeting so that we can assign a job for everyone as well. Does that sound doable? Okay, we'll figure it out at that meeting. So, okay. Yeah, let's figure out when our next meeting will be. Have I gone through the whole agenda? Correspondence, we don't have any. Next meeting date.
Laura, can we ask that we get a running total or a budget so that, you know, that we're not flying in the dark here, especially for Bruce, if we need some dollars.
Yeah, I'd like
for,
to give you just even a ballpark number.
Yep, so for the next meeting, we need to know what our budget is.
I have it right now if you'd like it.
Oh, thanks, Ben.
It's just over $18,000.
Is it over 18? Is that what we have?
Yeah.
But that includes the 10,000 that we normally spend on a contract, right?
I don't believe so.
Oh, okay. So we have enough money in our budget to pay for entertainment.
Is there a ballpark number? Those I can.
We will have that for sure for the next meeting.
I mean, I don't need to spend as much as I
you want
normally
to
do.
know, so we have $18,000, Ben, saying in our Applefest budget. That's for a normal Applefest year. You're wanting to know how much you have for the entertainment, correct?
Just roughly, so I can contact musicians, sound guys. I can probably give you about this much. Just so I have an idea.
How many musicians do you
Well, I'm
anticipate
thinking
needing?
the time frame of 4 hours of music, then there'd be 3 acts, so an hour and then a 15-minute turn, you know, you need to
Plus-
break the time,
plus your
plus the sound guy. So 4, I would pay 4 groups.
So $2,000, would you need?
That'd be excellent if
We need a motion for that?
We have a budget already, so as long as we're working within our budget, I don't know that we do.
I mean, I
that's
didn't
my
know if you
understanding.
wanted to save more, you know, this year we can.
We
don't
can make a
have-
motion just so that we're on board. So did you want,
I'll make a motion that we pay 4 groups $500 each for Applefest. That's $2,000.
how about we set aside 2,000 for entertainment?
Set aside
and then Bruce can-
$2,000 for Bruce.
That's fine.
Someone want to second that motion? Sherry? Are you good, Jessica? All in favor? And that's carried. So next meeting, we'll flesh that out a little bit, or you let us know what you've got going on. Next meeting, we'll figure out what roles everyone is going to have for that day, what we need to do in order to make it happen. And we might need a little bit of advice from staff as far as, you know, how many people we need in certain areas. We're going to need help with the setup of how we do things. And for the service clubs, we'll just kind of an update as far as what you're doing so that we can promote it. And Owen, maybe you can let us know for sure, you know, what works for you guys, and we'll see if we can get the bank property. Okay. Is everyone on board with that? Next meeting, any suggestions? It is the 17th today.
I prefer the Tuesday if we can stick to Tuesdays. I know
Yeah.
you have other council meetings and so on, but I have rehearsals Wednesday usually, so.
So Tuesday in 2 weeks would be the 31st, or do we want to wait for the beginning of September is the 7th? Is that? Oh, yes, because of the long weekend, right, right.
Community events, that's on the 14th. Are they still the second week? So that would be the 14th.
Are we, how many meetings do you think we need to have before this event? Considering, you know, it's not a huge workload. The workload is on that day. So if we did the 31st of August, yeah, that's a Tuesday. 31st of August. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Everyone's good with that? Meeting adjourned.